Hello, hello. Welcome to the Mother Days podcast. I'm Teresa Palmer.
And I'm Sarah Wright Olsen. Hi, daisies. Wow, Tez, you're really doing it up over there with those gorgeous red lips. I mean, you guys, if you're listening, you should actually switch over to YouTube right now just so you can see what Teresa has done.
The glammed up Palmer. I'm going straight from this recording to a birthday party for my son here in Melbourne. And this morning, Mark woke up. He was like, I had a dream that no one turned up. And I was like, well, I'm dealing with the opposite. I have a text and it's like, can all the siblings come? We're at about 55 people at the moment. And that's a lot for my friend's small little private farm, but that's okay. We're doing it. We're jumping in. The animals are going to be well loved.
And here I thought you were the lipstick for me.
Let's just say that. Michelle, it's for you.
I was like, for sure, Michelle, she put that lipstick on for you. Because this episode is all about beauty. And we're so excited. It is 2025. And we get to talk with someone who is just absolute visionary in the space. We're talking with Michelle Gough Baril today. She is the founder, CEO. She's the mother birther of Iris and Romeo. For years and years and years, she worked for a huge, massive brand. And then just as the brand was, acquired and she was at the top of her career and everything, she quit and was burnout and took some time. And I'm so excited to hear all about this story because A, it's super inspiring. B, I think it takes a lot of courage to do what you did and to follow your truth and then put your heart and soul into something that you were really passionate about. And I'm a huge fan of your brand in general because I think your products are absolutely amazing. This isn't an ad. This is me as a big fan just talking about it because I think you've done just such a beautiful job. And I'm so excited that we all get to hear more about you today. So welcome to the show.
Thank you. Woohoo! I'm so glad to be here. We should have all worn red lips.
We should have.
I know. Oh my God.
The American suffragettes back in before women had the vote, they wore a red lip, which was actually outrageous for women to wear a red lip back then because it was considered you were a naughty woman if you wore a red lip. So they all wore red lips as like a statement, their uniform as part of the protest, a woman's right to vote. So there's something, This is the original, the OG empowerment story about the red lip, the power lip.
I didn't know that.
That is amazing.
I love that. And also, I do feel a little bit naughty when I put on a red lip.
Wow. I feel fresher when I have a red lip on. I'm like, ooh, I'm fresh all of a sudden.
Yeah, well, it brightens your skin and it makes your teeth whiter. So
yeah, you look very chic.
I haven't brushed my teeth this morning, guys. I'm putting it out there. There's been no teeth brushing. I woke up about 30 minutes ago and I was like, shit, no one's going to smell my breath. So great. I'll do that later.
Right into the old microphone there.
Yeah. Ooh, yum. Ooh. I'm really interested in your, your story. I really want to hear your why. So why did you create this beautiful brand, Iris and Romeo? And where was that passion born?
Yeah. So I guess my story begins about 10 years ago. As Sarah mentioned, I used to be head of marketing for a very fast-growing indie brand, one that everybody knows. And it scaled very quickly over 8 years and was acquired in 2012 by a big conglomerate, like many indie brands are. And at that time, it had been quite a sprint to the finish line, and I was pretty burned out from my career on the track. You hear a lot of horse references from me.
I love it. Loves it.
You know, I was also feeling really disconnected from the industry itself. There were a lot of things that just didn't align with who I was at that stage of my life. Lack of transparency around ingredients, lack of sustainability. I really fought hard against, plastic pollution. The beauty industry is a big polluter of the planet. And lack of inclusivity, not just women of color, which at that time were definitely not included in the conversation, but also women over 40, which I was. So everybody was obsessed with talking to really young people. I felt excluded from the conversation. All these reasons, I was like, I cannot do this anymore, And I was also feeling really unwell. I was burned out. I had some autoimmune issues. And I just started to think, like, what the hell am I doing here? What is going on with my life? I am in hustle culture and it's killing me. And I'm not actually fulfilled, even though I was at the top of my career with a very big salary and my employers kept giving me time off and a pay raise and everything else. And I was still like, I'm not satisfied here. So right around that time, I met this former racehorse, and his name was Romeo. And he, like me, was burned out from his career on the track. And not a horsey girl. I'd never been around horses in my life. I met a horse quite by accident in Topanga. I used to live in LA at that time. And I fell madly in love with my Romeo. I mean, I was obsessed with this horse. He was amazing. And every morning before I'd go to work, I'd take him up into the hills of Topanga. And I think it was probably the first time in my life that I actually slowed down enough to hear that small, still voice inside that said, this is not your life. And, I actually had the courage to listen to it. Not immediately. Like I said, I quit 3 times. But eventually I was like, I got to just trust my instinct. And the only thing that felt real and true for me at that time in my life was this horse. So he was a giant horse, 17.2, which if anybody knows, is that's a very, very tall horse. And so I quit my career. I rescued this horse. I bought an old trailer, hooked it up to my Jeep, and I headed north from Southern California up to Northern California. And I didn't really know what was next. I just knew that it was me and my Romeo, and we were on the road. So I ended up in Northern California, which is where I live now, in Sonoma County. And my girlfriend had a farm, and she had 100 acres of land, and she'd rescued a herd of horses that roamed and lived freely on the land, as close as you can be to wild horses that are, were formally domesticated. So Romeo, being on the racetrack, had always spent his life inside of a box. And on the racetrack, that was it. And so I turned Romeo out to go live with the herd. And I spent the next year living on the land with the horses, literally on the land, baling hay, shoveling shit, sleeping under the stars. The only beings I had to connect to with the horses. And this was the most incredible time of my life. It was so healing because I just slowed down and went on what I call horse time, was in nature. You cannot live in nature without feeling the interconnectedness of everything. So it was a very spiritual time. So many profound things happened during that period of time. I met my husband. I would never have married a guy like my husband, who's amazing, in Los Angeles. So many good things. Sorry for all the guys in LA, but so many good things happened. And, after a while, after living on the land, I decided, I was thinking about, what am I going to do? What am I going to do next? I can't live with a herd of horses the rest of my life as much as I want to. And I wanted to come back to beauty, but this time do it on my terms. And so Iris and Romeo was born out of that journey. And I think, the question that arose when you slow down enough that you can hear yourself inside, the question that arose is, what's really essential? And for your skin, for yourself, for your life, like what is really important in your life? And I came up with this idea. Okay, at the time, it was like 10-step routines, an industry of excess and hustle culture, and everything ended up in the landfill, and you have to do this and this. And it was just like overwhelm. And I'm like, okay, the solution is simplify. The solution is pare down. And so I came up with the idea of our very first product, which was Best Skin Days. And at the time, this is 2017, when I had the idea, it was the very first skincare makeup SPF, all in one, in the clean space, fully sustainable, and really just simplified her routine. And I felt like that brands weren't creating for the modern working woman. She's got kids, she's got a job, she's hustling like crazy. And how do we just make it easy and simplify and pare everything down and make the experience really high quality? So that was the first product that was born. And Iris is my mom, my love, my soul.
I was going to ask.
And Romeo is my horse. And so those are the two big inspirations on this journey to become, I guess, a truer version of myself, you know, and that's what I'm continuing to try to do with this brand.
How amazing.
What a cool, I'm like, there's so many things going through my head right now because, like for anybody that's out there listening, that's already like had these feelings in their heart, like I can just imagine hearing the story just feels like that extra push to like do the thing that they really love, because
let this be your sign.
Let this be your sign. Exactly. Because hearing about you just like going and living on the land and being with nature, it's so true what you say about how you really hear like your inner, your highest self, right? That's when you're able to like really connect and hear your higher self go, you know, speak the loudest. It's hard in the hustle and bustle of day to day when we're always like, you're right, the culture is just like go, go, go constantly. And so you feel like you lose track of those small moments, the moments to connect to like the universe, your team of light, your higher self. Like, what is it that I really want? What's my truth? And that's another thing I really love about when you talk about the brand is like, actually, when you start, you know, really living your truth, that beauty shines through, your glow, you know, everything shines through. And I have to say that with your products, like there's hardly anything that I put on that I get more attention for. And not that I'm looking for attention, but I think it's because it's just so glowy and like really brightens you up than your very first product with the concealer that you put on. I always put it on like underneath my eyes and kind of blend it into my cheeks and then just like some of the spots. It's so good and glowy and dewy. That's the Best Skin Days, right?
Yeah, I just want to go back for 1 second and say that it's more common for women to lose themselves inside of everything, relationships, families, motherhood, careers. We lose ourselves and we wake up one day and we're like, where the hell did I go? And what am I doing here? And am I even really happy? And I think that's the moment where, you know, the opportunity is to step into the unknown and just find the courage to do that. And you know, I'm very privileged. I was able to do that. I lived off my savings for a year. That was another reason I had to go back to work. I was running out of money in real life. But I think ignoring that voice, like first of all, slowing down enough that you can hear it. And it's hard in hustle culture. And if you're a mother and you've got lots going on, so it doesn't have to be like a whole year like I did. It can be like 20 minutes in the morning or something. You know, it's just taking time, whether you just lock yourself in the bathroom and sit on the toilet and just go inside and connect with yourself. I just really want to say that you don't have to take a year off to do that and to get closer to what that small voice inside that can barely be heard above all the chaos is actually saying, because that's, I think, your soul and your truth, and it's something to follow and pay attention to. Because I think my biggest fear in life is I get to the end of my life and I will not have, you know, lived according to that truth. So I don't want that to happen. I don't want to be unhappy about what I've done and the choices I've made. So I just wanted to say that because, a lot of people think you have to take a year off and you actually don't.
I feel like that when there's like a real like purity and a real beautiful intention and sort of a like spirituality is infused in like what's behind a product, I think there's a little bit of magic to it. And I think that honestly, it's like Sarah's saying, she's walking around and she's getting these compliments and people are speaking about it. And I'm such a big believer in like the intention that goes into a product. And I'm not surprised that they're the products that people comment on and they're the ones that are shining bright because of what's behind it and where you were in your life when you decided to launch this. I think there's something like bigger at play here, and that's really beautiful. So this is a great opportunity to dive into your spiritual beliefs and how you've weaved that into your life. I mean, even just sitting here and thinking about the horses and being on the land, I'm like, what a profound spiritual experience. You must have felt so close to source, to light, to however you describe it, God. I'd love to hear more about that.
Oh my God. I have so many stories. I mean, that was an extraordinary time. I don't think we've got enough time to tell you all the stories, but there's one funny one. So I was dating my then boyfriend, now husband, right? And he hadn't been long out of a marriage. He'd been married previously, and he had 2 kids. And when we met, he was really keen on dating, and I was really like, no freaking way. I'm not going to date this guy because it's too soon, right? And you need to go have a few years to go sow your oats and everything. And I'm not ready for somebody who's not ready. And so the short version is I was going to break up with him. I liked him a lot, but I thought, no, I'm going to break up with him. This is me protecting my heart, right? I'm going to break up with him. So he came to the ranch one day, and this was the day, and he got out of his car, and I'm like, let's take a walk into the pasture. So it's this big, long valley where the horses lived, and they were all at the far end of the valley. We couldn't even see them. They were way out. And it was a beautiful day, and I'm like, let's sit on the ground. I have something I want to tell you. And so I tell him, I don't want to be in this relationship anymore. I'm going to break up. And he's like, no fucking way, why? What did I do? Aren't we like having a good time? And I'm like, no. So the next thing I know, we're sitting on the ground, this giant draft horse. And I don't know if you guys know how big draft horses are.
Yes, they're massive.
3 tons. They're like elephants. They're 3 tons. Her name was Christy. She came and stood over us, and she's like as big as a skyscraper and as wide as an elephant. And she drops her nose right down between the 2 of us. And she just breathed up and down his face. We were sitting on the grass, and he's like, should I get up? And I'm like, no. She's very gentle. Stay put. And so she went up and down his face, and then she went up and down my face. And you can't even imagine what it feels like to have this giant being like breathe her soft breath on your face and rub you gently with her velvet muzzle. And he started crying.
Oh.
Like the tears were streaming down his face. And then she went to him, me. And then she circled us 3 times, which he told me when she did it, he's like, you realize that's the Holy Trinity. Like, we just got married by a horse. It was so God. And she walked up to the other end of the valley. So we had this intervention from this giant horse. And after that happened, it was so moving and so profound and so like, what do I know? Like me and my stupid little queen. Like something bigger is at work here. And so needless to say, we didn't break up and we ended up getting married and the greatest human being in the world. And anyway, that's just one of the stories of living with the horses and just trusting, that sometimes things intervene and you don't always know the right thing for yourself. So yeah, that was incredible. I have so many stories like that.
Is he a horse guy? Is that how you met him? Was because of...
No, he's not a horse guy, but he loves horses. He's ridden horses, but I wouldn't call him a horse guy. But he sure is a horse guy now. So
yeah. How can you not?
He's a very spiritual man, and I'm much more practical, actually, and he's much more spiritual. But
wow, that's a beautiful combination.
Yeah, he's really opened my life even more. But that's what I'm saying. Like in LA, I was so focused on my career and so driven, and something opened here for me when I moved to this area, and that's how I met him. So
we're about to do a big move too for all these same reasons. Like I was like, I'm done. We're going to the hinterland. We're going to go on land. We're going to get horses. The whole thing. So we're moving to Byron Bay, Australia, in the hinterland, because I was just craving the same thing. I was like, if my life and my work is so busy and I'm always in it, I need, like, what are the in-between times? What does that look like? What does my actual life where we're rooted looks like? And I was like, I know, it's like that. It's nature, it's land. It's, as you were saying your story, it reminded me of this experience I had, and I know people have heard of this before, but equine therapy. And I had this experience, like, maybe Sarah will know who I had this experience with an ex-boyfriend a number of years ago, before I met my husband. And we were at this retreat, and I was like, I'm a horsewoman. Like, I'm going to go be with the horses. And we go and have this experience where there's like a therapist in an arena, and she brings a horse, and the idea is that you're sort of in communication with this beautiful creature, like energetically. So you can start to sort of move the horse around energetically and sort of speak. It was the most profound thing I think I've ever done. And I was like, wow, it's really reacting to me. And I was like falling in love with this beautiful creature. I mean, you can just look into the eyes of this animal. I feel this way with any creature. I can look into the eyes of a little being, no matter how small they are or how big they are, and I feel life and connection. And I've always felt that way. But this experience was so magical, and I was like, I need to be around horses. And then my ex-boyfriend came in the ring, and he was kind of like an angry sort of guy who hadn't dealt with a lot of his own things. The horse bolted. The horse literally bolted out of the arena. Then he was laughing, being like, oh, this is bullshit. And I was like, I honestly think that the horse planted the seed in me that it was the end of the relationship. I was like, oh my God, it's picking up all the things that I've been picking up, like subconsciously. And it bolted. And the woman was like, don't worry. Like, it doesn't necessarily mean. And
that you
my
were
boyfriend at the time, was like, oh my God, this is bullshit.
No, I think it's so true. And I do think the horse was showing you what you needed to do. Horses are prey animals. They're so finely tuned and so sensitive because they're prey animals. So they have to read the energy of everything. Like, when you see Africa, there's like a herd of zebra, and there are lions that are lying around the zebra, and the zebra is just eating their grass and being normal because they can read the energy of the lions. They know the lions aren't hungry. So horses are the same. They're prey animals, and they read your energy. So, they're very responsive to that. And so that's why they're so good in therapy, because they're like a barometer for what's going inside of you that you can't always connect to yourself, because we're so disconnected from ourselves, because we're so disconnected from nature.
Yes, that's true.
That's not how our ancestors lived. We lived in relationship to nature all the time. And now we're in relationship with our cell phones. So, it's and hustle culture and disconnected. Anyway, this is a big conversation, but
I think it's an important one, because I think we're all feeling the grind. Like, every person I speak to talks about this. I wish I could slow down. I wish I had more time just to relax. Like everything feels stressy. You're a slave to your phone. You're a slave to the emails, like all the things coming in. My phone has been dead for the last 2 days, like totally broken. And I was like, freedom, freedom. I was like, this feels amazing. Like I'm not getting hassled by anyone. I'm just present. And my phone, and I say this all the time, I say this like to my kids, why they're very, they don't have a lot of device time at all, is because when you're in your phone, you're no longer present. You're in a whole other world focused on whatever it is you're looking at, and you're not around, and you're not like with the people you love, or you're not like noticing the little beauty things in nature. You're not in your actual life. I know. And the conversation, it's getting louder and louder. More and more people are talking about this, and it's like it's finding our way back to nature. Do you have any suggestions for someone who's in the hustle, like trying to make money, trying to make ends meet? They got kids, they got like, how do we do that? How do we fold those little moments into our lives?
Well, I think, first of all, you have to realize that you deserve that, and it's okay to do that. And your world won't fall apart if you do take 20 minutes for yourself. I think we're also terrified it's all going to fall apart or something will happen. And so we don't prioritize it. We prioritize everything else. And like I said, especially as women, we're caretakers. We take care of everybody else's needs before our own. And that's one of the good things I've learned getting older, is I don't do that anymore. So I definitely prioritize the things that I need to fill my tanks and keep me grounded. Because if I'm not grounded, since I'm the mother and the woman in the home, like everybody's more grounded if I'm grounded. So, I really do have some practices. Like one of them is slow mornings. Now, I'm lucky. I have stepkids and they don't live with us anymore. They're grown up. So, I don't have little kids running around in the morning, but I would be a loony if I did not have my slow morning. So I have to have an hour where I'm just puttering. I have to have spaciousness. I have to have my coffee. I don't get up and go straight to my emails. And because you're right away straight in that, you're looking down. My husband always says this, look up. Like, look up, just it opens you so much. And, just look up. Even if it's for 10 minutes, go outside on the street, in your garden, wherever you are, and just look up and open yourself to this beautiful world of ours. Just that little practice, just even doing that means that you matter, means that what you need is important, So that is a big thing that I do every morning. And if I don't have my slow morning, I'm cranky and I'm not so productive in my day, quite frankly. The other thing I do is I do spend a lot of time in nature. Like you said, I have a horse, I have a dog. And so just taking walks with my dog or spending time at the ranch with my horse, going on a little trail ride, whatever I need to be. And you have to look up, because the whole world is looking down since cell phones were invented. And there's just an energetic thing. It's all like, the brain is all very focused downwards. And we've lost that connection. So just getting outside and looking up, it sounds really simple, but it's very nurturing. And like I said, being in nature is very good for your nervous system. It helps you slow down. It helps you feel connected to yourself. If you're not connected to yourself, how can you be connected to others? So these are just some simple little practices. I don't sit and meditate for 20 minutes every day. That's not what does it for me, but being with nature, even when I walk my horse, just counting my breath with him, but I need to be with him or with my dog and the trees and the sky.
I was just right there with you as you were saying that, like holding the little lead and walking around, and the smell of a horse. There's nothing better. I love the smell of horses.
It's bringing me back to our trip that we did with Rachel and Olivia and my crazy horse. I keep thinking about that because Michelle, I grew up in Kentucky and I had grown up riding horses that weren't my own, but I would just like jump on someone's horse and like ride it down to the pond or whatever. I was very like comfortable with it. And so when it was like, what kind of a horse rider are you? You're beginner, intermediate? I was just like, yeah, I've ridden horses in my life. Like, I'm not a beginner. So then I wrote down, so they gave me like the troubled horse.
That had big feelings.
He was a nervous Nelly and didn't love being. Anyway, we did a trail ride.
He liked to do some biting of butts in front of him. Other horses' butts. And then that horse would kick back. And then my horse was like, get off of my ass.
They must have had them in the wrong order because they have like a pecking order, and they'll bite the bum of the one ahead if they're actually supposed to be in front.
Oh, yes. They did tell me that. Yeah, they did say that. They were like, well, he's wanting to get ahead because he's really good friends with this other horse. And I was like, cool. Can I go be by that guy?
Yeah, like go, let me.
Really annoying.
It's like crazy relationships. They teach you the most.
Yes,
yes,
exactly.
they do, girlfriend.
Yes, they really do. I was thinking about some of the things that you were just saying. And, I think like what I hear a lot from moms and, people in my circles is that like, how do you like get up and do stuff in the morning? The mornings are so crazy. And, everybody that listens knows that I have a really specific routine of like getting up before the sun comes up and going and doing like a 20-minute, workout with my husband in the garage. And, he's made tea for us and I stay in bed really warm until the tea's ready. And then I go have the tea with him and then we go and do that. But it is like somehow we've sort of integrated that slow morning into our routine, even with young kids. And it's going to bed earlier and getting up earlier. And that has made that happen for me. But one thing that I really, really love, and I look outside in the morning and, I'm like getting the kids together and, Eric's been like running around doing stuff. But I noticed that as soon as he does like a cold plunge in the morning, he goes and he stands and he looks right towards the sun. The sun's just coming up and he looks towards the sun and he's got his eyes closed. And, they talk about like how you're supposed to get that light in your eyes and light on your face, like first thing in the morning. And so he stands there for like a few minutes and does that. And when I look out at him and see him do that in the mornings, I'm always like, it's so good. Like somehow in this chaos, we've like been able to create this, even if it's 35-minute window where we're both slowing down enough to have that moment in nature, to like do a workout together. And I swear it's changed our lives. Like it has made such a massive difference on the way that our day goes. It makes me want to go to bed with the kids at, 8:30 because I want to get up and have that morning instead of like the, go, we're going to be late, morning, which is just like so tough. So anyway, I do think it's possible.
These are the real luxuries. This is the real wealth. It's the real luxuries. We've got it all wrong.
I was wanting to ask you about, you were talking about how the brand that you worked with before really didn't speak to the women over 40. And so I'm a woman over 40 and your brand really speaks to me, but I want to know how you do that. Like, what is it? Because, you're saying you're a woman over 40 as well. Like, what do you do to speak to us? And what do you think, people are wanting? It's like a new year. And I know for me, I want really good skincare that makes me feel good. I want to see my skin. I want to like have my own natural glow shine through. But I would love to hear from you as the brand. Like, what is that? Where does that come from? The inspiration behind that? And how are you speaking to, women?
I mean, first I was very inspired when I made the brand to, I wanted to resonate with this 40 plus woman who was busy, had a lot going on. She was working. She wanted simplicity. That's what we're all craving on a spiritual level and on a practical level as well. So, I really wanted to create products that simplified getting ready, that made her routine just 5 minutes, because she's got more important things to do than spend time in front of the mirror. So, creating multiple products into one product, so you sort of have it a one and done. And then, really adding efficacious ingredients into it. So there's a lot of makeup brands out there, clean makeup brands that they're called makeup with skincare benefits. And what most consumers don't know, that the skincare ingredients in there are in there at 0.0001%. And there's no regulation. So they don't actually do anything. And I knew that I wanted to change that. I knew that I wanted to actually make skincare that was tinted. That's why we call it tinted skincare. And so it starts life as a skincare formula with, 6% vitamin C or 10% active ingredients or 2%, whatever the percentages are in there of functional levels that they actually do something. And as we get older, anti-aging is such an old-fashioned word. And that was another thing. I wanted to talk about skin wellness, not anti-aging, because that's so old.
We shouldn't be anti-aging. We always say, what's the opposite to aging? It's not good.
Skin wellness, that's a beautiful way to put it. Skin wellness, because a lot of times I'm like, I feel like it dried up.
Wait till you get to my age. You're going to feel even more dry. But I'm not dry. I wear lots of Virus and Romeo products, and I take care of my skin first. So, I think that's what she wants. She wants skin first formulas that are really efficacious, and also we approach formulation in a simplified way. So part of the problem of the 10-step routine is you're putting tons of skincare actives on your face and you're actually damaging your skin barrier, because you're getting 6% of this, 10% of that, and then 10 steps. And people aren't dermatologists. They don't know what goes with what. And so they end up damaging their skin barrier. And then they have dryness. In the worst cases, they can get rosacea or eczema, and you can develop really a lot of skin problems from overdoing it. So I wanted the formulas to be thoughtful in that way, that they were not going to be overdoing it for her skin, even though there were multiple products in one. So it's all about paring down, simplifying, and then giving her this, making her feel fresh and alive. So we're so tired and we just want to feel fresh and alive, not yourself, So I'm very, very picky about our formulas. I spend years making them. I'm extremely thoughtful about what goes into them. I'm extremely conscious about, is this going to add value in her life or not? And the aesthetic has to be very, very sophisticated. So, I want a really sophisticated glow, not a glittery glow or a jazzy glow. Like, this has to be like you're literally, glowing from the inside. Like when you're in like Hawaii and it's really hot and humid.
Yes.
That look. I want that look.
I love that.
I literally, my favorite pictures come from Hawaii. I'm always like, oh my God, like what was I
whenever
doing
you're
with
on
my skin
vacation. And you always just look so tanned and gorgeous. And you're like,
I know, your hair looks amazing.
And moisturized, right? It's super hydrating. Yeah. So hydration's a big part of the formula. So it's we call them tinted skincare formulas, and they really focus on efficacy and hydration. And so, I think that's what she wants. They're easy to use, one and done. So they're very simple. And then just the brand as a whole, because a brand is two narratives in beauty. It's a product narrative, and then there's sort of the brand narrative. And just really building a community of women that are inclusive of women over 40, which we are. Is very new, and not like, the silver-haired army when it's like, there was like 20-year-olds and 70-year-olds, and I love both. Don't get me wrong, but they're represented. It was like in the middle, this sort of modern woman who was getting older and aging differently. I'm not living like my mother. And I wanted her to be recognized and seen and acknowledged. So, we tell beauty stories at every stage of the journey, and we include this modern older woman. And by the way, we're all aging. We're all going to get there. And I think what's really aspirational is seeing older women who look after themselves, who've, found the courage to put themselves first, that are living their truth, that are sort of I hate that word empowered, but are just living a life that they're responsible for creating, and they've done it in a way that is an expression of who they are. Like, that's aspirational to younger women.
I agree. I passed on a couple of, a girlfriend of mine was like, just saying, I'm just noticing, I'm not getting as many looks these days and things are just shifting. And, she's really, I think a lot of her identity was, people objectified her for many, many years, and she's getting older. And now she's like, oh, I'm really noticing a shift and I don't know how I feel about it. And I'm noticing all these lines, and she's breastfeeding and she's like, I want to get Botox, but I can't, and all these things. And I was like, all right, I want you to follow these 3 social media accounts, because I know she's on socials, and I sent her these 3 women that I love following who are in their 60s. Oh, and another one's in their 50s. And it's just this joyful, beautiful, big, rich life. And their gorgeous face has all the little lines and the little expressions and the experiences that they've had in their life, and they just wear it so beautifully and joy-filled. And I love following them. And obviously I'm needing it myself, because they're the accounts that keep popping up in my feed like over and over, and I'm interacting with them so much. And I've started to become friends with some of them, and I'm like, I just love this woman and how they're living their lives, and how this is just good for the world. And my friend started following them, and she's like, I feel so much better, and thank you. And I just needed to see it reflected online, like that it's not a bad thing, that it doesn't have to be scary.
I think it depends on where you live too, right? It's like, if what you're seeing everywhere is that everyone has a very similar look in terms of like wearing a lot of makeup or using a lot of Botox. Now, I'm not saying those things are wrong, but if it's what all you're seeing all the time and you're not that person, like you're just somebody who wants a really simple routine, you can start to feel a little out of the norm, right? And then you're like, okay, so I think it is smart to sort of do that thing that's like, putting people in front of you, your expanders, as Lacey calls it, but like putting people in front of you that you're like, okay, that is something that I want to aspire to, is because this is who I am. And this feels the most natural to me. It doesn't feel natural to me to like do contouring and bronzing and then, extra foundation and powder. And like, there's absolutely, when I'm like doing a red carpet event and someone does my face where it's so much makeup and so extreme, I've never felt less like myself. Yeah. Like I look in the mirror and I'm like, oh God, like this is great. Like I'll go like be on the red carpet, but like I definitely don't think I can look in the mirror again tonight. Like it's just too weird and too extreme.
When you get up close, it looks really cakey and it doesn't look good. I mean, it looks good. That's right. Photos and things,
Great in photos.
That's right.
But it's not day to day.
I never understood that. I never understood, because I'd go in the mirror and be like, I'm so sorry. This is way too much makeup. I can see like full foundation, and I don't wear foundation. So I was like, I just don't. And they're like, trust me. Like, wait till the photos. And then
so good.
And then I often have been on a red carpet, had my photos done, and then go to the bathroom and take some of my makeup off, so that when I'm talking to people and they're looking at me up close, I don't have a full caked on face. And that's just my way and what my preference is. Yeah. But I will say, seeing these women and seeing them online, it has made me be like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited for all the stages of my life and moving into that time. And they're like filled with so much, and the joy and the simplicity. A lot of these women that I love following, like they're in nature. Everything's about being at the ocean or being, in the fields with their animals, and they're all dog lovers. And I'm just like, oh, that just looks amazing.
And this is the spiritual journey. As you get older, you really do want to simplify more and more. I'm much older than both of you guys. I'm in my late 50s, right? So like, the older you get, like the less, it's really true, less is better. And that comes to makeup, that comes to stuff in your life and things that you're doing. I mean, when the road ahead starts to get shorter than the road you've walked, your priorities shift, everything shifts, and you hone in on what are the things that really fill my heart and my soul. Who are the people I want to be with on a daily basis to nurture? Because you get more, you have better boundaries, because you get more picky about that and more selective, it actually makes you more joyful, and it makes you more empowered, and it makes you more self-expressed and more willing to speak your truth. And so this is the beauty of aging. This is becoming more of yourself. And it's a very powerful and beautiful thing that, you know, I mean, even my husband is always, he's always telling me, like, you better now than you were 10 years ago, because I'm more myself, and he's more attracted to me now. And he's more, you know, like enamored with me on this journey, because I'm so committed to just becoming myself. So it's a beautiful thing. And I think that's what you're speaking about, seeing these women, and these are the gifts and the tools. Like nature is a big one that can help slow us down and connect us. So
that's a nice mantra to take into the new year and to really think about. Guys. And hopefully like we can all take a piece of that advice and you know, implement that this year, because I think we all need it for sure.
I think so. I'm going to take everything you've just said, and I'm like, it is like my
I'm
little
self. Order my draft horse.
Yeah, I was like, my draft horse is coming, Christy the draft horse, and I'll take a Romeo as well. Yeah, I would take one of those.
My hinterland.
In my hinterland.
Michelle, tell us okay, so before we sign off here, tell us what we can expect in the new year here from Iris and Romeo. Do you have anything? I know you guys are so simple in what your program is, but do you have anything new coming out?
Yes, we do. So we are in the season of cocooning. This is our wintering time. And I always look to nature for inspiration on everything that I do. And so this is the time of year for rest and retreat, where we sort of cocoon. The weather's turning cold. We're going into winter season. And so your skin is getting drier and drier and needs a lot of extra help. And so we just launched Skin Cocoon, which is one in a series of 2 cocoon products. So Skin Cocoon Barrier Glow Serum, it's a really occlusive, rich, yummy formula that protects the skin and heals the barrier and is going to give you delicious, plump, juicy, glowy, happy skin, right? So
great.
And
just ordering
yes,
that.
Please.
Okay, ordering.
It's like this yum cream to oil formula. So when you put it on, it feels very luxurious. Like even that, just applying that formula makes me feel like I'm taking care of myself. It makes me feel
self-care
and honoring myself, right? Even if it's 2 minutes. And then we have a sister product that goes with it called Lip Cocoon. And that too is a barrier peptide balm. And it's really a treatment for the dry, you know, your lips only have 3 layers of skin, whereas your face and your body have 15 layers. So the lips age faster, they get drier faster, they get damaged faster. So this is her. She's a beautiful,
hello,
thick, rich. I don't know if you can see it.
Yes, please.
Formula. It's super yummy when you put it on. It lasts a long time. It's not sticky, and it breaks the balm cycle. So I don't know if you've had this experience where you use balms and they need to drier.
Yes, I've had really dry lips this past week, and my makeup artist is like, at work, because it's so hard to cover that on camera. And I've been using this lip balm over and over, and I'm telling you, it's made it worse. I'm like, what?
Yes.
I can't get them moisturized.
So the reason for that is they put this waxy layer of occlusive, like an occlusive wax onto your lip without hydrating them first. And you get into this hydration evaporation cycle. And the more it hydrates, then evaporates, the drier let's get, the more you're putting on, you get in the cycle. It's terrible. In fact, it gets your lips really, really sore. So I wanted to set out to break the balm cycle so that didn't happen and people could actually get the nutrition and the hydration before the occlusive waxy layer goes on top. So this is that formula that breaks the balm cycle. So I'm really excited about that one too.
Awesome. Okay. That sounds
amazing.
We'll be ordering those. Thank you very much.
Yes. I'm about to go put my Iris and Romeo mascara on for the birthday party.
Inspired by a Frisian horse.
Oh my God.
That's so
I love how thick it is. It's like thick and juicy.
Yeah, so good.
Frisian horses are those black horses that have really thick manes and tails. And I was like, I want that thickening.
Oh, I like that.
Oh, yeah, that's really nice.
I like it. I like that it's a chunky little bottle. I'm like, this feels good. My eyelashes are about to look like spider legs. Yes.
My absolute favorite product, I have to say out loud, because that's the Weekend Skin, and it is the tinted moisturizer. And when you were talking about the type of glow or like, you know, how the sheen, like whatever it was that you were trying to come up with, but it was very, very specific. I will say that product is like, it's as if my skin is glowing from every angle. Like it's crazy. Not like super oily and not like, you know, there's like something in the makeup that makes it that way. It's just you put it on and it just looks your skin looks so good. So that one is incredible. And you guys can find all of this at irisandromeo.com.
irisandromeo.com, Sephora, Credo, and Goop.
Oh, amazing.
There you go. Yay. And then you can also follow Iris and Romeo on social media as well. And Michelle, thank you so much for being here and talking about all these amazing, beautiful things that I think are so, so, so important and really great practical things that we can do to like center ourselves and find moments for us and for our truth to come out. So thank you for being here today.
It was a joy to meet you both and have this conversation. Keep moving the world forward, ladies. You're amazing.
Yes, you also. Thank you for being a beacon of light.
And Daisies, you know you can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Share this episode. Tell your friends. Give us a rating or a review. We really, really appreciate it.
All right. Bye.